What is Didan Notzach, and how did it become a Chabad niggun?
First of all, the expression Didan Notzach did not start with Pashas HaSfarim. It doesn't start in 1985, Tafshin Mem Hey, when we had the event of the Sfarim where the Rebbe began to use the expression Didan Notzach. Didan Notzach is an expression which goes back much earlier. You find it in the Likutei Deburim, and it goes back, if I'm not mistaken, as far as the Alter Rebbe. Even by the Alter Rebbe, the expression Didan Notzach has existed in the Hasidic world for a very long time. And to be sure, I'm not certain necessarily that it's a Hasidic expression. In other words, you don't even have to assume that some Hasidic Rebbe at a certain point coined the phrase Didan Notzach when he talked about the struggle, whether it's the struggle for Chassidim against Misnagdim, or it's the struggle of Kedusha against Klipa, or Lakus against Olam. It's an old expression, Didan Notzach. It's not a new expression. It emerged in Lubavitch because of Pashas HaSfarim, because the Rebbe began to use that expression. But to the Rebbe, it was a familiar expression. To us, it was not a familiar expression because we don't know that much. But when the Rebbe used the expression Didan Notzach, he wasn't creating a new phrase. He was referring back to an existing phrase. So the first thing I want to mention is there's a medrash that the Rebbe talked about a lot. It's brought to my Marich Sidis about Sukkos. And the Rebbe used to speak to the children about this in the rallies, that when a nation goes to war and they fight and they're victorious, they win, and the soldiers come home, so how do you know that they won the war? So they make a parade and they march in the streets with the weapons of war to demonstrate their victory. And when you see them walking in the street with the weapons of war, you know, Anan Netzachaya, we were victorious. We were victorious. So there's a medrash that says that the lulav and the esrog and the hodas and the arava have the shape of different weapons, whether it's a spear or it's a sword and so on. There's different weapons, kida, and different weapons that have different shapes that are represented to some extent by the shape of the daled minim. And when you walk in the street, like the Rambam describes, how you would carry your lulav from place to place to place, walking in the street with the lulav is a remez and nanutzachai that we're victorious. And I believe that also ties into Didan Notzach. The expression is not Didan Notzach, we will be victorious, our side will win, but Anan Shchai, we have been victorious. But I think that medrash also ties into the union of Didan Notzach, which means, in other words, that Didan Notzach is not a Didan Notzach until you see it. Now you may remember, or you may not remember, but in Mem Vav Take, in the year that the case was going on, there was some time in the middle of Tevis, that the Rebbe went home with his lulav. He went home with his lulav, took his lulav home. And everybody saw the Rebbe carrying his lulav into the car and taking it home. It was very curious. Everybody was wondering why, and nobody knows for sure why. The Rebbe had a lulav in his room. Why Mitamol is carrying it home? It was conspicuously out of place. And at the time, people were saying that this is this medrash of Anan Netzachaya, which ties in very much to the union of Didan Notzach. So that's the basic idea. But then, of course, we all know that the Rebbe spoke a siche on Yud Beis Tevis, Tafshin Mem Zayin, when the first victory, when the first verdict came back, and that the judge declared that everything belongs to Agudas Chassidic Chabad, the Sfarim and 770, it was a complete victory, which was a big miracle. So there was a week of celebrating from Hey Tevis, Chamisha B'Tevis, and Yud Beis Tevis. And then each night the Rebbe spoke a sicha. Many of the nights the Rebbe spoke sichas. The Rebbe also spoke Yemot, that this is a man of Eis Ratzon, if you remember, that there's a special time to go to the oil and ask anything you want, and the Eibush is going to answer your prayers and so on. And then Yud Beis Sivan, the Rebbe put the celebrating to rest, and we began to prepare for Yud Shvat. In that Monday night sicha, Yud Beis Tevis, the Rebbe quoted a medrash. And I believe the story was that somebody else had found the medrash and hung it up on the wall. It's a story about a community that was visited by a good spirit, a good shed, and he warned that a negative spirit was going to come and that the people should prepare. So they took pots and pans and they went down to the river and they made a big noise and they banged with their pots and their pans and they screamed Didan Notzach, and then they saw blood on the surface of the water, which symbolized the end of the shed, the death of the negative spirit. And the Rebbe talked about this a little bit. And one of the ideas that Rabbi brought out was the of declaring Didan Notzach. The Didan Notzach has to be declared loud and clear and in a celebratory way. And I believe, again, like I said to you earlier, that part of the spirit of the Didan Notzach is, first of all, you say Didan Notzach with simcha to make a keli for the victory. And most importantly, Didan Notzach is when the victory happens, you don't keep it a secret. You celebrate it. And of course, the point of celebrating it, like Dr. Rabbi says in the Ger Zakedesh Katenti, it's not to show down your enemy and to rub it in their faces, God forbid, but rather to celebrate the victory, because the celebration of the victory is the point of the victory. Like the Rebbe Rashab said to the Frierdiker Rebbe, in Purim Tafresh Pei, Mirvel and Gansein, we Chassidus will remain whole. Nit mit unser Etzem, nor mit unser Hispashtus. Not we're going to remain whole in our essence, in some secret closet, but in our full manifestation, a full expression. That's what Didan Notzach is. That there's a victory that says that whatever Lubavitch is victorious, and it's victorious not in a state of etzem, but in a state of hispashtus, that its ability to expand is without any limits. And of course, we all remember how the Rebbe explained that the kitrug was that there was a question whether the Rebbe is alive, whether hu b'chayim, because there was a question on Zarei b'chayim, and the Didan Notzach was a symbol of hu b'chayim because of Zarei b'chayim. That's the ultimate inyan of hispashtus and gilui.